It's episode 17.
Why has that become your new thing?
Because I don't have any better intros, so I have to sing a little sing-song.
You should bring back the welcome.
Welcome. I don't have good intros. That's why I wrote a little ditty.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to the Bee Critics. That's what you sounded like.
Wow. I'm a friggin' dweeb. Thanks for reminding me. We got some movies for you this week, as we tend to do. Movies that you've heard of, I assume. The first one is from Netflix, as we typically do. See how formulaic we are?
Yeah.
It's a wonderful world of the same thing all the time. But this time, the movie is Outlaw King, and not any of the other movies that we've talked about. So that's different.
Yeah, that's different.
Netflix's first big budget historical epic. I was going to say high budget, but big budget felt better. Their big budget historical epic Outlaw King, part of the Braveheart cinematic universe. Except not quite, because it's all different cast. It does take place after Braveheart, yes, but...
it's almost during.
Yeah, that's true. It is. The very beginning does cross over with the ending of Braveheart. So if you know how Braveheart ends, you know how this starts. The Scots have surrendered to the English military might and have agreed, aight, you're king, we won't do anything about it. But then the King of England decides he's going to kill William Wallace, so he does. And then the Scots are like, hey, about that we're not going to do anything about a thing. We lied. We're definitely...
You killed our boy.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do something about it. You killed our MVP. That would be like if someone killed Tom Brady. Then America would be all like, not today, fools. We're coming at you now. Yeah, William Wallace is Tom Brady confirmed. So yeah, this movie does feature a cameo of Mel Gibson's arm hanging on a stake.
No, it's not Mel Gibson's arm.
It may as well be.
No, didn't you see him when they showed his face? It didn't look anything like him.
It was Mel Gibson after a bad bout of gout.
It was not.
Oh, okay, it wasn't. But yeah, that's how the movie begins, and then it all just kind of plays out from there, of this outlaw king portrayed by Chris Pine, who bears it all in this movie. You get to see all however many inches of Chris Pine's glorious cock from afar.
I was just gonna say, not really though, because it's from a ways away, so you can't really see it.
I was reading the Reddit discussion thread, and the top comment was the exact time in the movie that scene happens. He was like, alright, saved you all a watch.
It's not as hard to see as Bruce Willis's dick in Pulp Fiction, but it's not really that easy to see either.
Yeah, it's a nice, tasteful, he's taking a bath shot.
Bath?
Yeah, wasn't he? He was cleaning himself off.
I don't remember. He was in the river or something.
It's a pretty brutal movie, actually. Nice portrayal of how filthy medieval peasants were.
It wasn't really that. No, it wasn't that. I've seen much worse.
As far as movies as a whole go, I'm not saying it was the most brutal movie of all time. I'm saying it was fairly brutal. You compare it to like...
Sprinkled.
You compare it to like Lord of the Rings, it was way more brutal than that. You compare it to like the historical classic Harry Potter, it was way more brutal than that.
Yeah, because this is rated R.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's unrated.
No, it's rated R.
Oh, okay.
But it's more towards that hard R and not quite a soft R like some films are. There is a difference.
The soft R is when they just want it for language.
Right. Like 8th grade is a soft R for sure. The King's Speech is an incredibly soft R.
Why is that R again?
I think that
Does he say fuck twice?
I think they only say fuck once in that one, and for some reason they were just like, okay, R.
I don't remember. I didn't. It's been a while.
The MPAA is extremely inconsistent with their ratings either way. They're just kind of totally arbitrary. But yeah, this movie, it's got a lot of nice blood and guts for you. See, how can you say it's not brutal when they literally draw and hung a person?
Well, that, part, what... I don't know, I just came off of that other movie where, there was not a minute where you didn't see blood.
The Night Comes for Us?
Yeah.
You can't base all movies on the literal most violent movie ever made, though.
How are you saying that? That's not a fact.
No, it is. People have said that it is, per gore and, per blood amount on screen, given the length of the movie, it is literally the most violent movie ever made.
What?
Yeah, there is no movie with as much blood.
So everything from there is downhill now?
Yeah.
Great.
Sorry to disappoint you. That said, you can always watch The Raid and The Raid 2. Those are sufficiently gory.
What are those about?
They feature two of the same actors, the final boss and the girl. They're both in The Raid and The Raid 2.
Oh.
And they're very similar. They're just kind of violent action films that just kind of exist to be violent action films.
Oh.
But I've heard they're really good.
Well, like I said, it was sprinkled in.
In this one?
Yes.
Yes, but when it was there, it was pretty... Oh.
It was kind of out of nowhere, actually.
Yeah? You're all like, oh, nice historic... Ouch! Don't scratch my back, cat!
She just wants to climb on you.
Clearly! Oh, I'm sorry about that. Oh, great. Now she's gonna play in the paper bags.
Okay, anyway, what were you saying?
What was I saying? Yeah, you're all like, oh, here we go, a nice historical movie about things that happen in real life. Time to learn something, and there's some intestines falling out of a man's gut.
Yeah, and even that part, it's like they hang him first, so you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna watch somebody be hung, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah, they're like, and we're gonna draw him. Rip. And all the battle scenes had good old satisfying axes into heads and blood spurts and spouts all over. It was yeah. It was not The Night Comes for Us, but literally no movies are. But I beseech you to reconsider your stance that this was not a sufficiently brutal movie. Helena
agrees.
Too. Yes.
All right, I guess for normies it was.
Right, and that's what this is. It's a Netflix original starring Chris Pine about Scottish history. That's the definition of a normie brutal movie.
All right, okay.
Yeah, you gotta set the expectations properly here. All in all, though, the movie had a lot of actors from Game of Thrones.
A lot?
Yeah. Stannis the Manus was in this. He was the King of England.
Stannis, the brother?
Yeah. The one true King of Westeros.
What? The king was old.
Yeah, so is Stannis. See?
What?
Look at that cast list. Stephen Delane, King Edward I of England. Check that boy out.
But he looks so young. He looked so old in that movie.
Well, yeah, because they put a gray and white beard on him.
I did not recognize him.
See, no matter what he plays, he always plays the one rightful king.
Jeez.
Yeah, it had him. It had the Lord Commander Mormont from Game of Thrones as well. There was another actor from Game of Thrones in it, but I can't remember who.
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it all too, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
They all look the same after a while.
Oh, that's rude. It also features a fantastic performance from... Hold on. Let me find the name here.
Are you looking for his wife?
No. Not his wife.
Who are you looking for?
Douglas. The guy with the long black hair, the guy who was also in...
the badass?
Yeah, the guy who was also in Nocturnal Animals. Remember him?
I remember very little about that movie.
The main super creepy dude who, like, does all the talking.
No.
You don't remember?
No. Here he is.
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson. That's his name. Yeah,
Why do you go recognizing random people like this?
Ray Marcus. Yeah, that was his name. Hey, every now and then I can pull it out.
I guess.
Every now and then.
In this movie, you can.
I am an expert of Outlaw King. I've seen this movie 200 times. I can recite it inside and out.
For some reason, I am not recognizing anybody from this, and you're getting them all, so have your one movie. Enjoy.
Yes, including Rebecca... It was not Rebecca Robin. That was not her.
No. She's down...
Florence...
Here.
I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Pug? Fairly upcoming actress. Not a whole lot she's been in, but she was good. They were just generally solid performances all throughout the movie. Obviously, Chris Pine, as he always gets, got the boring straight man protagonist role. And honestly, it sucks trying to play protagonists, because they're usually not that interesting. They're just like, hi.
Unless you're Mel Gibson in Braveheart.
That interesting.
Okay, unless you're Mel Gibson in The Patriot.
Unless you're Mel Gibson in Chicken Run.
Unless you're Mel Gibson in What Women Want. That movie's so funny. Stop.
Which is more peak Mel Gibson? What Women Want or Chicken Run?
What Women Want.
Oh, okay.
All the ladies of the time when that came out were like, yeah, give me some of Mel Gibson in tights and lipstick.
Because, I mean, let's be real here. The fact that he was cast in Chicken Run literally to just be American speaks volumes.
Well, he's so funny in that movie, too. I love that movie.
I know. High quality. I know some people may say that they deeply miss Wallace and Gromit, but Chicken Run was a very high quality turn from the ordinary.
I don't want to be a pie. I don't like gravy.
Very nice. Very good impersonation.
Autumn can do it better. Yes, we're petting our cat instead of talking because she's so cute.
Sometimes you just have to take a moment to pet your cat. Ignore the responsibilities that life is putting on the table in front of you and accept that the cat takes precedence. The pacing of this movie was a little bit strange, too. I know that this was cut down from like a 2.5-hour movie because it was not received very well, cut down to a 2-hour movie, and was then received a little bit better. But as such, you're given a little bit of whiplash between scenes. It's like, alright, they surrendered, and now he's married, and now there's a funeral. All in rapid succession within like 7 minutes of film.
I thought it was more than that.
It didn't feel like it. It sure felt like 7 minutes.
Okay. I didn't notice.
I did. If I did, that means somebody else did too.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe, huh? I mean, I'm not that unique.
Alright.
More words. I have more about this movie stocked up in the back of my head here, but I just got done petting a cat, you see, so the words kind of leave when you pet cats. Let that be a lesson to all of you. If you need to forget the things in life, pet a cat.
Please have a cat.
Have a cat, and if you do not have a cat, receive a cat from adoption.
There are plenty out there. I want more.
Shout out to the Humane Society. They are now sponsoring this episode. They have not consented to that. That's probably going to get me in trouble one day. But that's okay.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
We're not sponsored.
We are sponsored by the Bee Critics. They are sponsoring this episode of the Bee Critics. And so far, it is an episode to behold, as we further discuss the ins and outs of Outlaw King.
What's left?
It ends a little bit on a strange note, too. It ends before the whole war is over, and then just kind of wraps up the rest of what happens, and just kind of like epilogue text. And it's like, oh, okay. It feels like this movie wanted to be a mini-series, but they couldn't quite make that happen, so they had to turn it into a movie instead. That's the general feel that I got from this movie.
I thought it was a fine ending. I'm fine with reading about the rest that happened. I don't need to see it.
Well, then why didn't they just make all of this text at the end of Braveheart?
Maybe they did. I don't remember. Maybe in another... When did that come out? Maybe in another 22 years. I'm guessing 96 or 97. Let's just see. Where did it go?
You have to add a heart to it.
Well, I saw it. 95! I was close.
But close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Hey,
so
look.
in another 23 years, they're going to make the text of this movie into another movie.
Perfect. And that'll be a Hulu original.
God, no.
You love Hulu so much.
No, it'll be some new thing that's not invented yet.
That's true. It'll be like a Shutterbug exclusive.
Okay.
That'll be my new streaming service, Shutterbug. Sign up now to get your first 12 months free, because it's never going to happen.
Isn't that already a brand name?
It probably is. It's probably something to do with photography.
Probably, yeah.
Because, Shutter. You got anything to say about Outlaw King? You've been awfully to yourself.
I'm not really into history.
So, from the perspective of somebody who's not into history, how historically accurate would you say this movie is?
Yeah, right. It was okay. I remember liking Braveheart, and it wasn't as good as that.
Well, yeah. Braveheart's on a level of its own, Braveheart. Nobody screamed freedom in this movie, so yeah, it automatically makes it a worse movie.
Yeah. If you're not into history, I wouldn't watch it, because I didn't really care for it.
Now, hold the phone. Just one moment here.
Oh, what?
Say, for instance, this was not historical and just happened to be a medieval fiction movie. Would that make it better for you?
It's not my cup of tea.
You don't like medieval movies?
Not typically.
Well, that's right. You think Monty Python and the Holy Grail is terrible.
It is.
It's not terrible!
It is.
That is an objective untruth.
What? An objective untruth?
Yes. It is objectively not terrible.
I don't like it.
That does not mean it is terrible, though.
Alright then. I don't like it. In my opinion, it's bad.
And your opinion is perfectly fine.
Up.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's a better choice of words.
That your opinion is wrong.
Shut up! You're wrong.
Yeah, see Outlaw King if that's your cup of tea. Anyway, before I get drawn and quartered in my own house, I'm going to tie a cat to each of my limbs and then have them run off in 4 directions.
What? Yeah, that would work.
Even though we only have 2 cats.
I can't even pull you by one of your limbs.
The next movie on our beautiful little list here is one that I was looking forward to hugely. It's Suspiria. Now, you may think from the name that it's just a remake of the original Suspiria. To that I say kind of. But not really. It definitely takes the general premise, but beyond the general premise, this movie really takes the ball and does its own thing with it. It's not a shot-for-shot remake, and as such, if you've already seen the original Suspiria and therefore say, well, I don't need to see this, it's just a remake, stop right there, bastard man. Because this movie, for sure, does enough different to warrant its own watch.
And you don't need to have seen the original to see this.
Correct. There's no, there's, one reference to the original, and it's that the original Susie Bannion played a small role in this, but that's about it. Otherwise, they're not connected stories. They're just two separate retellings of the vaguely same story. As it is, what we get is a shockingly strong performance from Dakota Johnson, Tilda Swinton absolutely dominating, playing 3 different roles, including an old man.
I had no idea.
Yes, it's incredible. And a wonderfully paced, artsy trek through the dance company, and one of the most what-the-fuck final portions you'll see in a movie this year. The whole,
For theatrical movies, anyway.
Right, for theatrical movies at least. It was a 20 to 30-minute span at the ending where the entire thing was just a bizarre haze. And I'm not going to spoil what was going on or anything, but it was genuinely one of a kind. The one thing, if I had to compare it to the original, and I don't know why I'm doing that because I just got done saying that they're totally different movies, is the original movie played with color much more than this movie did. The original movie was a beautiful, colorful tour de force that did whatever it wanted and didn't apologize for. This movie's a little more muted, which, there are some actually really cool arguments that could be made for why it's muted, even arguments that are stated within the movie that you may not immediately catch. And I'm not gonna lie to you. This is not my original thought. I was reading about this from someone else, so you're just kind of hearing me parroting someone else's viewpoints here. But there's a point.
Likely.
You are just a rude girl. Generally, my opinions are unique, but this one was so cool that I had to share it here. There is a scene where Dakota Johnson's character is performing a dance in a way that Tilda Swinton's character does not particularly like. She's not jumping high enough, and then Dakota Johnson makes all of these crazy arguments for being too close to the ground. Or how you need to stay close to the ground to ground all the rest of the dancers, and then Tilda Swinton says, no, you have to jump up because that's the way that this piece was written, to not allow people to get comfortable, basically. And it's basically saying that staying low to the ground does not show how the world has evolved compared to when this piece was initially choreographed and written. The world has changed too much for us to stay too close to the ground. And that really gets you thinking. It's just like how the world has changed and it's not so colorful anymore. Or at least it doesn't feel that way. That I thought was a cool take on the whole muted color palette.
It was written in the 40s, by the way, the dance.
Yes.
And did you tell everyone what this movie's about before you went into a dance sequence?
No, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just kind of assuming that they already know.
Let's assume not.
That's a poor assumption. I'm sorry. It's about a girl who goes to dance school, but it turns out it's
in Berlin.
Yeah, in Berlin. But it turns out it's not a dance school.
It still is.
Well, it is a dance school.
Strange happenings.
Yeah, just weird things go along. Now, this is the other big difference between the two movies, is the original Suspiria, the vast majority of the plot was the attempting to unwind what was going on and figure out what was so off about the school, whereas this telling of Suspiria pretty much outright tells you immediately what's going on.
How do you remember so much of the original? We watched that 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, that's the sign of it being a real good movie. It stuck with me.
Okay. All I remember is...
The stabbing in the beginning?
Yeah. Best part.
So you don't remember the sleeping in the gym and then the ladies laying down on the opposite side of the sheet You don't remember?
Oh, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. And I remember somebody being in some weird room up in the attic or something. In the windows. Something like that. That's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. And the piano player with his seeing eye dog.
I don't remember that.
Man, you don't remember. When you said you don't remember a lot about it, you weren't lying.
I see lots and lots and lots of movies, and I need to see them like 2, 3, 4 times before I'll remember everything.
This movie definitely stands up to the original, though. They are both so different in their own way, and you can't watch this expecting it to be super similar to the first Suspiria, because you'll probably come out to be a little bit disappointed. You have to accept that this is a telling of it in its own way. There are liberties taken with this movie, and that's perfectly acceptable. All in all, given the updates in technology as a whole, this movie definitely has some more disturbing moments than the original. Tilda Swinton playing Jabba the Hutt being one. I'm going to leave it at that and let you decide what that means. Man, there's so much to go with this movie. Being that it all takes place in a dance studio, a lot of the movie is based around that concept of dance and choreography and all that. And you'll see a lot of dancing, and some of those dance scenes are so incredibly striking. The one where they perform Volk at in the studio in front of a live audience. That especially, it's like the climax of all the dancing scenes, and as you're watching it, it's just mesmerizing. The almost bondage-esque outfits that they're wearing during it, the movements that they do, the way they look practically possessed during it, just some really exceptional choreography throughout the whole movie that all comes to a peak at that moment, and it's just really a treat to watch.
That scene was a little underwhelming for me.
Underwhelming?
Yeah.
You don't appreciate dance.
I do.
You don't
couldn't really see what was going on that well.
Oh, yeah. There were definitely some scenes where they got a little shot happy with switching shots a lot, and the movie also insisted on doing this annoying like half the frame rate thing, and I wasn't a huge fan of that.
What do you mean?
I mean where the frame rate would literally drop to like half of what it should have been, so it looked like an almost slideshow effect. It happened like 3 times in the movie.
What's one of the times?
At the very end when people were like dancing and it was like,
oh, I see.
Yeah, that effect. I wish you could have seen me do that. That was a very very strong physical representation. It's the glory of audio.
It's just what I want to picture you doing what those girls were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And another very interesting thing that this movie did that you don't see extremely often is so many different types of tension pent up at the same time, not all of them quite releasing fully. The pent-up tension of terror, the pent-up tension of anxiety, the pent-up tension of deep sexuality without there being a single actual sex scene in the movie. It's just, everything felt like it was just welling up, but it wasn't quite going to give you the satisfaction of unleashing. At least that's how I felt by the time the movie was done. I mean, the ending definitely gave you quite a bit of a, what's going on feeling, but it didn't answer a whole lot. It's not a movie that holds your hand. It's kind of the opposite of the ending of Hereditary, if you've seen that. The ending of Hereditary, you've spent the whole movie wondering what's going on, and then they literally just like tell you everything. Like at the very end, it's just like, oh, this is happening. You were chosen for this because of this. We did this because of that. All hail Lord Payman. Whereas Suspiria ends, and it's a bunch of vague dialogue over exploding people,
Don't spoil it.
They don't know what I mean by exploding.
Mean.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said exploding. I take it back. Vague dialogue over people not exploding. That's what happens. I've fucked up.
Yeah,
Episode
you did.
ruined. Episode ruined. Throw it in the trash. This one's going in the recycling bin. You are not having it today, man. There's no appreciation for the things I do.
I tell you every time that you talk really good. Do I not?
Yeah, and I'm getting so used to it that the one time you just glare at me, I'm feeling a little inadequate here.
You have to announce spoilers if you're going to drop that
I'm
bomb.
sorry. I was getting so into it that it just happened. It's either way, whether you know the ending or not, that doesn't mean you know what actually happened. Because the movie's so abstract. Well, after it's over, you start thinking about, what did I watch? Who was who? Why did that happen? What was that for? It's a movie where the ending brings forth more questions than answers. And if you have an appreciation for that kind of thing, then Suspiria is the movie for you.
I've seen movies that brought more questions than
It's
that.
not a contest. Jeez. Like, well, Outlaw King wasn't the goriest movie ever. Suspiria wasn't the most mysterious movie ever.
Well,
Jeez.
I'm balancing you out here.
Taking my optimism and excitement and drowning it with cynicism.
That's what I'm for.
Jeez. Man.
And I've already eaten today.
You're not even hungry, man. What did you think about Suspiria? Give me some thoughts.
I liked it. It was pretty. I liked how long it was. It was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Which was a good amount. Outlaw King was 2 hours, and I was like, This one was good.
Yeah. You know it's a good movie when it doesn't feel that long.
Yeah. I like how it didn't have, like, a ton happening all the way through. It was slow in some parts, which is fine. Didn't have to go bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, and despite being a horror, it wasn't, like, super full of traditional scares, really. It was more of, like, a conceptual horror, almost.
Yeah, that was good.
It wasn't like, oh, this thing's gonna scare you. Instead, it was like, what the hell is happening now?
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't have any jump scares, did it?
No, not one.
Yeah, which
amazing.
is the best.
I know.
We don't need jump scares.
Jump scares are terrible. Ugh. Outlaw jump scares.
Like, the worst scares are the ones where they slowly happen over, like, minutes, and you're like, no, what's happening?
And by worst, we mean best.
Oh, did I say worst?
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant best.
Worst is in you are the most scared. Best is in it is the most effective.
Yeah, best.
And yeah, that's just kind of how Suspiria felt the whole time. Just a general feeling of unknowing. Not quite the feeling of unknowing that the original gives, but again, this is not the original. It's a different thing. Also, Tom York of Radiohead did the soundtrack, and the majority of it was very, very good. I thought there were one or two pieces that felt a little off given the scene that they were accompanied with.
I thought that too.
Yeah.
Probably the same scene.
Probably, yeah. I thought the actual vocal songs, where he actually sings during it, were a little out of place.
Yeah, because they sounded like a Radiohead song.
Yeah.
Over, like, a really not Radiohead scene.
Right. Yeah, and I understand that the intention for that was probably
Contrast.
exactly an intentional juxtaposition between the two moods, and I get what they were going for, but I don't know if it necessarily worked the best. But the rest of the score was very effective.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as Beautiful Boy, though.
Which, I don't know if that really used a score or just like a...
Whatever it used, it was amazing. The soundtrack, score, whatever. I'm pretty sure it was mostly soundtrack.
Yeah, it was mostly soundtrack. That's true. So some people may argue that the original Suspiria score by Goblin was a little more effective overall.
What did we just watch with Trent Reznor doing the score for?
Mid-90s.
Oh, yeah. It's so weird.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah, that was a good score.
That,
too.
And we also watched The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which he also did the score for.
Yeah, that's more what I was trying to think of.
He always does good scores.
Yeah.
He even did the soundtrack for the old video game Quake. Yeah, which was the game that came after Doom. So it's basically Doom, but slightly different, with Nine Inch Nails music over it.
Speaking of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I've always wanted to see that, but I haven't. And we watched it so we could see the new one, and we watched the first one and liked it a lot, and we were like, the new one's not going to be that good, so we're just not going to see it.
Yeah, it was on our radar. Girl with the Spider's Web doesn't look bad. And then we saw the Dragon Tattoo, and we were like, Spiderweb looks pretty bad. And given the ratings, it looks like we're really probably not going to miss out on a whole lot. It is not very loved. And that's what happens, Hollywood, when you take a cool concept and try to make it a generic action movie.
Please stop with the action movies.
I mean,
unless they're filled with blood.
Unless they're supposed to be action movies. When it's a movie that looks like it's going to be something real interesting and then is not and is just an action movie, then you done ruined it.
Yeah, so we see all the trailers now every week, all the time. And the first theatrical trailer they released for that movie, it looked so good. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to see that. It looks so good. And then the second one came out, and it looked like a completely different movie. And I was like, yeah. I don't really want to see it anymore.
Yeah, like it looked like almost a complete rewrite.
Yeah.
It was like, action scenes, hacking government computers.
Let's tell you everything that the first trailer kept mysterious.
Right. Although I'm almost glad it did, because I would have expected something a little more highbrow from the original trailer.
Oh, yeah, if we saw it after that.
Yeah.
I would have been so disappointed. I was so disappointed when I saw the second one. And I was like, no, I don't want to see what's happening. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to see it.
Yeah. It's...
Anyway, now we're featuring movies that we aren't seeing.
Yeah. That's the way she goes. The way she goes, bubs. That's Suspiria in a nutshell, though. Just a really, really solid, very artful horror movie that is not so traditionally horror. Would thoroughly recommend it to anybody who has even a passing interest in such a thing.
Also, it had a very sad theatrical release. We had to go to Edina to see it.
No. We have like 7 AMCs in our area, and we had to drive half an hour to like the second furthest away AMC just to catch this movie, because it's such a limited release. But in its opening week, when it was only in 2 theaters, it was the highest gross to theater ratio in like movie history.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because those 2 theaters sold out completely, like every screening that it had that weekend.
And where were those?
I don't know.
Oh.
I didn't look that far into it. I wasn't really interested in where they were.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I just saw that original little statistic, and it tickled my fancy. Also, when I was watching it, I thought, this looks like the kind of movie that I'm going to see a girl use the bathroom in. And then about 10 minutes later, yeah, Dakota Johnson starts peeing in a toilet. And I was like, well, I know how to call him.
Why? We all know when people go to the bathroom. We don't need to see it.
I just know when a movie's going to feature somebody going to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm feeling it in my bones.
I just don't need that.
My piss sense is tingling. And that is the last thought I'm going to leave you with for Suspiria. Big spoiler, she pees. Hope you can still enjoy the movie after that bombshell.
Sure.
And that leads us into our next movie. a just disgusting horror, twisted, eldritch terror dripping with suspense
that Paul just had to see.
I did not just have to see it. You are embellishing the truth so much. I'm gonna be a little bit honest with you, though. When you see so many movies, and so many of them are so intense and so emotionally draining, every now and then you just gotta kick back and watch a good old family movie with no substance at all. And that movie is The Nutcracker in the Four Realms, Disney's latest in live-action disappointments. It's about the Nutcracker, but not really. It has nothing to do with the Nutcracker, aside from the fact that it used a cut from the Nutcracker suite in the soundtrack.
They used many cuts from the Nutcracker.
Oh yeah, mostly cuts from the Nutcracker. A very large cut that was jumbled around and mixed up is what I meant.
Okay, well, they used a lot of the music from that.
Yeah. So, the only real reason that it's called the Nutcracker is because it uses music from the Nutcracker. But, beyond that, it is about a girl whose mom died, so she goes to the Four Realms and saves them.
Wait, what happens in the actual play?
No idea.
I've even seen it, and I don't know.
I have not seen it. Never felt the urge to go and check the Nutcracker live in person.
Why? Don't you want to see the ballet dancers?
No.
Why? They're so cool.
There's just other things I'd rather do.
People are dancing on their tiptoes, and you don't want to see that?
I saw it in this movie.
Barely.
There was one ballet sequence which told the tale of the Four Realms. But backing it up a second here, yes, the girl, played by Mackenzie Foy, God bless her soul, she tried to make gold out of such a boring role. Really did try her best and gave an admirable performance in the face of utter dismal opposition. Goes to a Christmas party because she has to, hosted by her godfather, played by Morgan Freeman, who, very unlike Mackenzie Foy, gave the most phoned-in, boring performance you'll ever see from Morgan Freeman. Had about 10 lines in the entire movie or something like that, and delivered all of them with the same, "I'm smiling and I'm Morgan Freeman."
That's because that's who he plays in kids' movies.
I know. It's his easy paycheck movie. Yeah. So, yeah, she has to go to that Christmas party. She got a gift from her mother. It's an egg thing that she can't open. She needs a key. She goes to the Four Realms because apparently, there's a magic portal to winter hellscape in Morgan Freeman's attic.
Mm-hmm.
So she magically shows up in the Four Realms and begins her journey. Meets a Nutcracker soldier who had possibly the only actually funny moment in the entire movie when he lifted up the little gate for the bridge with much fanfare, and it's like a 3-foot plank of wood. That was the one thing that I kind of... Well, no, that's not true. There were other parts that made me crack up in my seat, but I'm not sure I was supposed to. That was the intended gag that really got me. And from that point forth, it's your typical adventure movie. Whoa, we have to find the thing I came looking for, which is a key. Oh, the bad people have the key. I need to find friends who will help me get the key. My friends aren't really friends. Spoiler alert. But you would have known that just from the fact that this is a Disney movie. I mean, come on. How can Disney possibly write one movie that doesn't have a fake-out villain?
Or a dead mom.
Dead mom and fake-out villain combo. You're welcome, viewers.
You know what? This was a movie... This movie was a mix between Chronicles of Narnia and the Santa Claus 2.
The Santa Claus 2?
Yeah!
Can we sprinkle a little Die Hard in there, too?
Don't you remember? Have you seen the Santa Claus 2?
I've only seen the Santa Claus 1.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god, watch Santa Claus 2. It's so funny. This holiday season, we're watching Santa Claus 2. I don't care.
But I have to watch Christmas Story 27 times.
No. Why'd you laugh so hard if you didn't know what Santa Claus 2 is about?
Because I know it has Tim Allen, and I can't picture Tim Allen to have anything to do with this. And I know what the first Santa Claus is about.
All right, in Santa Claus 2, they also turn toy soldiers into huge soldiers to be his army, like they do in this one.
Oh, is that
so
it?
What do you mean, is that it? That's a huge plot point.
I know.
Santa Claus 2, Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
That's this movie.
Yeah, we probably should have mentioned that.
I didn't even have to say at Christmas because Santa Claus 2 is at Christmas. See? It's all there.
You're right. It sure is. And this all brings me up to the most outrageous part of this movie. So Keira Knightley's in this movie, and she has been known to play, a wide variety of fairly sophisticated roles. She is often a sultry actress with a wide amount of sex appeal.
But who would have thought this would be her most sexual movie yet?
Keira Knightley plays the Sugar Plum Fairy, and what the hell is this role? She spends literally the entire movie with her hands floating off to her sides like a fairy does. She speaks the whole movie but an octave higher than she does any other movie. It's like if Morgan Freeman phoned the whole movie in, then Keira Knightley went about as ham as you can possibly go given the role. And the amount of hilarious, just sexual undertone, not even undertone, overtone lines that she gives.
Yeah, about her Nutcracker soldiers.
Yeah.
Oh, my boys.
Yeah. Come and get me, boys. Lines like that. It's like, those were the absolute peaks of this movie. Were Keira Knightley in a ridiculous pink wig and Sugar Plum Fairy dress getting all hot and bothered over tin soldiers. That alone is worth the price of admission to this ridiculous movie. And since we've already brought up fake-out villains and then brought her up directly afterwards, you can probably imagine how that plot goes. But honestly, I'm not even worried about spoiling that one.
It's going to happen.
It's Disney. It's as predictable as it comes. Even in Frozen, where it was like, all right, we already have a conflict. They were like, but you know what this conflict is missing? More conflict with a shoehorned fake-out villain. It was like, you got me. Good job.
If you meet a new character in the beginning of the movie, they're not your friend.
The Nutcracker was her friend.
Yeah, but he was the Nutcracker.
He is exempt from all evil doings.
He literally lives to follow her around and protect her.
Yeah, watch a bridge and all that. Yeah. So it turns out her mom was queen of this realm, and her mom died, so everyone's all like, wow, your mom died, that's lame, we missed her. And the portrayed villain, played by Helen Mirren. Dang it! Ever since I got on a Helen Merrill kick, I keep getting Helen Mirren's name wrong. If you've never listened to Helen Merrill, do it. One of the greatest female jazz vocalists of the 50s. Fight me, I will defend her to the death. Helen Mirren, though, just as phoned in as Morgan Freeman. As it is, you could have cast either role as literally anybody. You could have cast total nobodies in both roles, and there wouldn't have been any notable quality difference.
Yeah, I don't see why they spent so much money on them.
Yeah, what's even the point of casting them? It's just, I don't get it. Keira Knightley, I get it. She was the absolute star of this ridiculous movie.
You know what? I bet it was kind of like that. What is that other really shitty... Not saying this movie's really shitty, but... What was that other really shitty movie that came out earlier this year and they had all these big stars in it? A Wrinkle in Time?
A Wrinkle in Time. I have actually heard people call this Disney's Christmas Wrinkle in Time.
I didn't see it, so I don't know what
I didn't either.
what it's about.
But this movie's getting slightly better reviews than A Wrinkle in Time. I'm not going to say, like, super better reviews. But I did not see that one either. And from what I've heard, I did not miss a thing. That movie bombed heavily as well. Really, it's like Disney is trying to go back to late 90s Disney with just poor decision making. They're like, we were on too good of a roll. We need to pump the brakes here and lose some money. Not like it really matters to them. I mean, as long as they've got Marvel, they're going to make money.
They're putting all their efforts into that and Star Wars now, so these side movies don't matter as much to them.
Which is kind of funny because Solo bombed too.
Oh yeah, that's true. All right, the main line.
Yeah. So much so that Star Wars Episode 9 isn't even coming out this year. Even though the last two came out at, like a year apart of each other.
You mean they came out every other year?
Episodes 7 and 8, one came out one year and the other came out the very next year. Episode 8 came out last year.
Are
7
you
before
sure?
that. Yes, I'm sure.
I thought they came out 2 years apart.
No, I can remember specifically because you were raging up a storm that they weren't coming out 3 years apart and that they were coming out year after year.
Right, but a year and 2 years is the same thing. Neither one is 3, which is right! 3 years apart! That's what they all have come out! Why did they have to go and ruin it?
Well, I would just like you to know, one moment, that I might be wrong.
Oh, what's this?
I don't want to admit it, because I'm never wrong.
I don't know why you're taking the longest way to find this information out. Wikipedia, really?
Wikipedia's saintly, okay?
I
was wrong. Aha, see, I figured it out before you did.
I just started. Right, so it's 2 years, right?
2 years, yes.
All right, that's what I thought.
I was incorrect. Sue me.
So that came out last year.
Yes.
Yeah, so the new
I
one's
thought
going
they
to come
came
out
out
next year.
a year apart because Rogue One came out the year before that, and I remember actually liking Rogue One. Unlike The Last Jedi, which is a terrible movie.
Okay.
I thought
I
you were
don't
going to
really
agree
care
because
for I don't really care for any Star Wars movies.
you admitted you enjoyed
But-
Rogue One.
Well, yeah, it was okay, but I'm not going to see it again. But you know what I will see again? 2 and 3.
No! No! Anything but 2.
What? I was like 7. Of course I'm going to like those ones.
You were 7 and had a distaste for sand, so the movie just spoke to you on a spiritual level?
Yeah. I liked Hayden Christensen. He was cute.
Oh, for the love of God.
I'll never give that up.
I feel like I should say something positive about the Nutcracker because I've just been like laughing about it and calling it bad. It's bad because it's predictable and not horribly interesting. However, it is a it is at times a very beautiful movie, a little overly CG'd up at some points, that may be, but it was some beautiful CG for sure. So it was a beautifully done movie with a very charming protagonist and some great both intentional and unintentional comedy from Keira Knightley. So it was not a total waste of my time because there were some things to like about it. I suppose if you've got kids, this would be the kind of tripe that they may find high quality. You know,
Or you could feed them good movies.
or, right. Or you could just say, no, we're going to go see Widows instead.
Sorry for the miscellaneous noise. Felina's going ham
Oh, yes.
in the container.
Yeah, she's playing in a giant, what are those called? Sterilite?
They're just plastic bins.
Giant plastic bin. I thought there was a
With
brand
her
name that
little.
they're known for.
Well, yeah. I can't read it from here, though.
Yeah, me neither. Bad eyes.
Anyway, she's playing in there with her little ball, so. Snap, 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 snap. That's her noise.
Yeah. We did choose to watch this over the new Grinch movie by Illumination, because quite frankly, Illumination is the most garbage animated production company on the planet right now, and I really don't want to ever see another movie of theirs again.
I would say that you chose this over that, because I kind of forgot that was even coming out.
But would you have wanted to watch it over this?
I don't really care either way.
That is a cop-out answer. If you were forced
What?
If you were forced at gunpoint to pick one of the two movies.
You should have asked me that before I had seen it, because now it's different. Let me see.
All you need to know is that it's by Illumination.
And what else did they do?
No, it's not even Illumination. It's Illuminate.
What else did they do?
Minions, Sing.
But did they do Despicable Me?
Yes.
Because that was a good movie.
They also did Despicable Me. To this day, Despicable Me 1 and 2 are considered two of their only solid movies. Yeah, they also did Sing. They also did The Secret Life of Pets, which is not as good as I guess you say it is.
I guess I'd say... Whoever said I said that was good. I liked it.
Yeah, if you like it, that means you personally think it's good. Right?
Not necessarily.
But if you dislike it, you personally think it's bad.
Yes.
What? What is this double standard that you live with?
I would have chosen the one we saw because I was really triggered when they said they were going to make another Grinch movie. Because they don't need another one. Mm-hmm. The original was perfect. The live action one was perfect in my eyes. I didn't need another one.
The only thing that I feel I missed from not seeing the Grinch was Tyler, the Creator, singing "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch." But I can just look that up on YouTube, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I can get that fixed if I really need it. But yes, Illuminate, terrible. Just all their movies are soulless. And now they're making A Secret Life of Pets 2, and of course, they recast Louis C.K. after his whole masturbation scandal.
Of course they did.
He even said in his stand-up that he was a professional masturbator. What are people expecting?
Wait, what happened again?
He asked some girl backstage in like a dressing room if he could masturbate in front of them, and they were like, I guess, like all nervous that like they didn't want to say no, so he just did.
What?
Yeah.
Sick. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm gonna get in trouble just for talking about this. Whatever I say, something's gonna make someone mad here. I'm not defending that as being a cool move or anything good, but compared to some of the shit that other celebrities have done, you compare that to like a Harvey Weinstein or a Bill Cosby, and that's nothing. Like,
yeah, but that's...
I still think you can bounce back from that.
I would say him versus someone who had maybe just said something wrong and they got everything taken away from them. He deserves it more.
Well, sure. Well, that depends on what they're saying, too, because you can say some really, really terrible, outlandish things.
Yeah, but that's things you say, not physically do.
Well, yeah. Again, I think he stands a chance of bouncing back.
That's disgusting.
It is. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying I'm defending it. It was a big mistake. The other thing is he also came out and admitted it and admitted that it was wrong. Celebrities don't do that very often. They dance around it, or they don't admit it, or if they do admit it, they try to justify it. He straight up said, it was incredibly inappropriate, and I apologize to any women that I have made uncomfortable in that position. It was unacceptable, and I should have never done it. I think that if people apologize for the things that they do, they should be given a second chance. Because if we don't give those second chances after heartfelt apologies, we're basically telling the whole world, doesn't matter if you apologize. It doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah, depends on what you do, though.
And if all you did was jerk off in front of someone, I think that...
I mean, people have done much worse, but I wasn't directly saying that to his situation. I was just saying it depends on what you've done. If an apology...
Yeah, well, yeah, like if you're a Bill Cosby kind of guy, I don't think that's forgivable. If you're a Harvey Weinstein guy, I wouldn't forgive that either. Louis, I think I can forgive that. You broke your wedding ring. We're not married anymore.
It just happened.
We're not married anymore.
Oh, no.
No. Well, you've all witnessed the ending of a beautiful marriage here on the Bee Critics. They all gotta go out sometime.
I need a new ring now.
We can't afford a new ring.
I need a nice new one. An expensive
This was
one.
your plan. You intentionally broke your ring so that we have to buy a new fancy
Oh,
one
yes.
for
I
you.
just broke this intentionally with my bare hands.
Yes.
What am I going to do now? Wear this little engagement ring like a chump?
Yes.
Look at how sad it looks.
Thanks for reminding me I was poor when I bought that.
No, I'm not saying because it's small. I'm saying because it's just that. Like, there's nothing else to it.
Well, that's the B critics. That's just about time. I've done my piece. If you disagree with me on the Louis C.K. scenario, I respect your opinion. I really, really do. And I respect if you were ever put in an unfortunate position like that and cannot forgive that. That is absolutely fine. And if you really disagree with me to the point where you're really upset with me, you have the right to be. But my disclaimers are over. This was another episode of Movies. We're going to be at you next week with some more movies. Do we know what we're watching? Can we give a little sneak peek-a-rooney?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I know one movie that we're for sure seeing. We're definitely seeing Overlord.
Oh, is it out?
Yeah, like it's already been out
Okay.
like this week. So we're for sure seeing that. So tune in next week to see what we think of Overlord, and we'll play the rest by ear from there.
Yes.
All right. As always, thank you for listening. We hope that it was a riveting hour for you, and have a fantastic rest of your evening.
And please go watch Santa Claus 2.